Welcome back to the Confidence Formula. Module 2, we are talking about discovery. Some of this you'll be familiar with if you already went through our onboarding process. You're in the course now. I just want to explain a little more of the theory behind what we were doing, what we were measuring, and how we're going to use that as we go through the course, and especially at the end of our 12 weeks together, so that we can compare apples to apples. Where were you before we started working together, and what difference did we make? So we're going to start with explaining the confidence index, which is the online assessment where you or your parents, or maybe both together, answered 9 different questions about your skills and especially your confidence in those skills. So we're asking about your footwork consistency, your ball handling, effectiveness, finishing option, shooting range, defense, containment, a lot of the pieces that we're going to be touching on in the course as we went over last week in our overview. Decision speed, off-ball movement, shot selection, rebounding. So this was really our way to get a objective number to measure a subjective perception, right? We're measuring what you think of yourself or what your parents think of your skill set and your confidence in your skill set in a lot of ways. And so it's kind of our way to take a ambiguous, not very well defined category of confidence and just assign a number to it. So it was a rating of 1 through 4 with kind of a description of how you think and operate in games. And so we're going to ask you to do that again once the course is complete in 12 weeks to see what has changed in your self-perception. And then we also use that as just one of several metrics to establish a baseline of where we're starting from. The second portion that we use is what we call our evaluation. And this is all leading toward the sock color classification, which I'll get into in a second. But most likely you didn't see this during your eval. Our coach was going through the drills, measuring, writing down a number. A lot of it is scaled to a 1 through 5 system. We're talking about how effective you are rebounding, catching a rebound, putting it back in, how many dribbles it takes you to get down our somewhat miniaturized full court on a fast break. And then, how good is your footwork and ball handling for the 3 crossovers we'd like to work on. And then shooting, driving, pulling up off the dribble, our 5-shot challenge. If you probably remember that, we're going to cycle back to that several times. It's a good litmus test of footwork and confidence in shooting, and then off-ball movement. So if you did the basic eval, this is what we can cover realistically in 30 minutes and gives us, a pretty good checklist of where you're at. So I have it filled out with everything at the max. Like if you did a perfect score, you could be a black sock. We haven't had anybody do that yet. Normally, if you're in the course, you were somewhere between green and purple and maybe even yellow, and we're trying to give you a boost ahead of your 8th grade or freshman season, most likely. The other evaluation we have, and something that we are going to have everybody go through at the end of the 12 weeks, is what we call our intensive eval, which is really just an expanded checklist. So there's 20 different items instead of 6, and we got a little more detailed scoring. So we've tried to calibrate these so that they're somewhat equal, but the basic eval is like a very small sample size, right? So like you could have done really well or really terrible on those specific 6 things that particular day. And so this is just a bigger sample size. Like if you score even average in all of these, then you're going to be into the blue and purple level, pretty quickly. So it's just a more detailed look at a lot of the same topics and a few extra things thrown in that just challenging, measuring a higher level knowledge, higher level skill set. So it can be intimidating if you're not prepared for it. Like some parents will like sign their player up and throw them in the fire with us, and we're like going through this intense 90-minute process to measure all these things, and you don't come out feeling very good about yourself. But I always try to frame it as just information that's useful, especially for me as a coach. Like if I know exactly where your footwork is when you're catching and shooting on the run, then that's something we can dial in, or maybe that's something you're already good at. And I know we don't have to spend that much time on it. We can integrate it to other stuff and, move faster by knowing what you're already good at. And so I think by the end of the course, this will actually be a lot of fun to go through with you because you'll be getting feedback on where all the different pieces have started to stack up, assembling your puzzle of skills. So this is just a spreadsheet that mostly is branching out of my brain that is required to explain it all, but gives you an idea of what we're looking toward improving as a checklist toward the end of the program. And then that brings us to our SOX rating system. So you notice the rainbow color measurements on both sides, both evaluation spreadsheets. And this is really where I've tried to calibrate to separate your grade level and your age from your skill level. So for a lot of you in the course, you are probably in the middle school, 7th, 8th grade age, but you may have had an eval where you were a yellow sock, right? So you're like playing at a 5th grade level, even though you're in 7th or 8th grade. And others may be in 8th grade and playing or skill level is in 8th grade, but you may be describing, your confidence is not there. So like skill level in isolation in practice, like, yeah, I'm a blue sock, but when I get in a game, I shrink down and don't try things and I freeze up. And, so we're trying to calibrate a lot of different aspects of this. But our goal from this program is to really move you toward the purple sock. So the whole mission I've set for myself is to get 7th grade players performing at a high school level before their freshman tryouts. So if you're starting in 7th grade, you're in good shape over the next year and a half, 2 years. We're definitely going to get there. If you're already in 9th grade, maybe you just finished your freshman year and your eval was a green sock, then this is just the kickstart with this 12 weeks to accelerate things and get you thinking and performing at a level where you're going to be able to make the JV team easily and continue your high school career. So this is really just kind of like reading levels. We modeled this first after like the black belt in karate, but we use socks because that's a basketball thing to do. But then it's also, I think about it like reading levels. So like you could be a 7th grader playing at a 9th grade level. And therefore, we don't want you just playing with 7th graders because you're 7th grade. We want you playing with other players that are at a 9th grade level so that you're continuing to grow and challenge yourself. So summarize, the confidence index is your self-assessment. The SOC level, like we want you to get familiar with this because we're going to be talking about this as we go through the program. Like we kind of are developing our own culture around our gym of like, oh yeah, I'm a blue sock. Like that's what this means. And like, you walk in the gym, you check out other people's socks. You're like, whoa, that guy's a black sock. Got to watch out for him. What's he doing different? And and then we're using that to help identify criteria. Because another thing about just grade level or age that you've probably suffered from, and I think a lot of coaches suffer from, is like they don't give you anything specific that you need to do to improve to the next level. It's just like, well, you're a year older now, so you should probably play with 8th graders. We want to have it as like this, and this need fixed, and this you're doing really well. Like you might be at a 10th grade level in this skill, at a 7th grade in this skill, and we're trying to get them all up to 9th grade or higher so that, again, the freshman entry point into high school is comfortable and easy for you rather than stressful. And so knowing what that criteria is that you're working on your own outside of our gym time together, and then knowing that, hey, I play at a 10th grade level. It's kind of an interesting way to think about yourself as you're practicing. So that's it for module 2, quick and easy about the discovery process. And again, we're going to basically recycle that whole process for you at the end of this program so that we can measure from A to B what has changed and prove to you how much progress you've made. Good stuff. I'll see you on the court.